The biggest hurdle for a perfect life is a nice enough life. Please make data driven decisions. It's very important in digital marketing. I always say the one thing that is definitely never counts in digital marketing, it's opinion. My opinion, your mother's opinion, your friend's opinion. Sorry, doesn't matter. Data. Only data is important. If you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. We know it exactly.
What happens when you build a whole career only to realize one day that the life you created is no longer the life you want? Welcome back to Journey to Legacy. I'm your host, Wayne Veldsman. And in today's episode, I sit down with Krisztian Kiraly from OptiMonk to talk about a powerful reinvention story. Krisztian shares how he went from spending more than 15 years working and building a career on cruise ships to hitting burnout, losing his first business after having to file bankruptcy, and then rebuilding his life from the ground up through digital marketing, entrepreneurship, and constant learning. During the interview, we also get into actionable advice around what it really takes to build an e-commerce brand, why opinions don't matter nearly as much as data, and how AI is changing the future of online marketing through hyper-personalization. This is a conversation about growth, hard pivots, and what it really takes to stop living a life that's just good enough. Enjoy. Hey, my friend, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Wayne. I really appreciate it. And thank you being here with you together.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited by some of the things you've told me already from your journey that we've shared today and the other day when we first met. But kick us off, tell everybody that's listening that's not familiar with you a little bit about who you are and what you're working on today.
Actually, I'm originally a digital marketing expert for more than a decade now. And I think, as everybody else in this niche, I have started as a side hustle beside my main job. Then later on, I have started as a freelancer. I've done just alone everything. At that time, it was still possible in digital marketing, or a kind of that. And then later on, I have built my own digital marketing agency here in Hungary. It was a full stack digital marketing agency, which I led for more than 5 years. And at the moment, I'm working as an international partnership manager at OptiMonk. We are a B2B SaaS company. And actually, our software is a very comprehensive AI powered CRO tool for conversion rate optimization.
Beautiful. Christian, so you were running an agency for a long time. You said sort of full stack, right? So you were sort of holistic. Was there a certain niche that you focused more on, actually a certain service, or what did that agency look like?
Okay, very good question. So actually, I believed, and I still believe, regarding digital marketing, in holistic approach, which means I know there are definitely some agencies that are focusing only on email marketing, only on SEO, only on PPC, which is quite good. And of course, you can also achieve some results. But to my opinion, to my experience, the biggest impact, the biggest results by the clients can you achieve every time when you manage all the areas of digital marketing all together. And then they are working as a kind of in synergy. And from that reason, it was also, as I have mentioned before, a full stack digital marketing agency. So we have done all the services for our clients. So web development, PPC campaigns, SEO, and of course, one of my favorite areas, CRO, conversion rate optimization. And we were focusing definitely on e-commerce, on e-commerce stores.
You know, Christian, I totally agree with you in the sense of you want to be holistic, right? When it comes to your marketing efforts, not just do pay-per-click advertising, not just focus on your website or social. What about for like smaller brands that don't have the revenue, they don't have the staff and manpower to do everything? Where do you suggest that they start?
For them, actually, it's very easy. They don't need a full stack digital marketing agency yet. So I think it's very important on a journey, for example, as an entrepreneur or an e-commerce store owner, to always set a priority list. I mean, There are always a lot of stuff to do. I know, tons of tasks to do, but it's very important to set up a priority list. I suggest always to make a kind of bottleneck analysis. So, where is the point in your system, in your website, in your business, where you can achieve the biggest impact with the least investment of time, energy, and money? And based on that, you can identify these bottlenecks and you can start with them. So, just back to your question, like, for example, okay, you are a solo entrepreneur, you have just started your business, for example, a small e commerce store. Definitely, you don't need a full stack digital marketing agency yet. You don't need their services, and actually, you can't afford them to pay. But you don't need it because at the beginning, what do you need? You need visitors, you need traffic. Which one is the fastest way and hopefully also the most efficient way to get visitors? Just run some PPC campaigns, either meta ads or Google ads. Just start with a small budget and run your first campaigns to get your first visitors. And then, of course, you have to set up your measurement system from the beginning, that you can measure everything. We know it exactly. What you don't measure, you can't improve that. So if you have your measurement system, you can start later on to scale, because based on that data, based on that measurements, you know already what is working by you and what is not. And then it's, I would say, it's a never ending story. We know exactly a website or an e commerce store is never perfect. It won't be never ready. But it's the most beautiful part on it, actually, because it's like an never ending story, as I have mentioned before. What I follow, but then I also very love it as a workflow to use the PDCA cycle. It's coming from Edward Deming, and the four letters are for plan, do, check, act. So plan something, make assumptions, make hypotheses. It will work or it won't work. Do it, so implement it. Check, very important. Measure it, measure the data. And based on that data, act. So do something. If it's working, start to scale it. For example, double your budget for meta ads. If it doesn't work, just stop it. And to avoid to lose money. And then start from again from planning. And of course, very important, please make data driven decisions. It's very important in digital marketing. I always say the one thing that is definitely never counts in digital marketing, it's opinion. My opinion, your mother's opinion, your friend's opinion. Sorry, doesn't matter. Data. Only data is important.
Nice. Christian, I appreciate all of this. It's great that you explain that if you're just starting out, right? We're using an e-commerce store, for example, right? Somebody selling products online, right? That first you need more eyeballs, you need more visitors, you need more traffic, right? So start whatever the simplest route of that is. A lot of times, simple online advertising, social media advertising campaign. And then the second most important thing you mentioned is set up the system to collect data, to track and analyze performance, which then you swung all the way around there at the end of please make data driven decisions. I have a funny story that I'll share in a second, but I want to ask you first, like, can you think back to when you first learned this fact? Like, what was going on in your digital marketing training, experience, growth when you realized this piece of opinions don't matter, make data driven decisions?
Oh, very good question, Wayne, because it's actually before my career as a digital marketer, because it sounds maybe funny, but one of my biggest pitfalls or failures, however you call it, it was my first business, which I have started as an e-commerce store, but without any knowledge. So it's a long time ago. And of course, I have made all the failures which is possible to do in digital marketing and in e-commerce. I mean, it's really a long time ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And at that time, um, there was not, I would say, so overcrowded the marketplace, but you definitely still needed knowledge. But I was lack of this knowledge. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it depends on how we look at it, this business, of course, went bankruptcy. And exactly from this reason, because I didn't measure anything. I didn't know anything about it. What's actually going on in my business? What's happening in my e-commerce store? I just saw the numbers, the results. They were very poor, of course. I have spent tons of money on digital, on different ways of advertising, but nothing happened. The number of purchases was very low. So after a time, I had to close it because I couldn't afford it anymore to invest more money, time, and energy on that. So through my own sad experience, I had to learn it. Okay, I have to deepen my knowledge regarding this. I have to understand how does it work. What does it mean, for example, to look at the most important numbers, the KPIs, for example, key performance indicators. And actually, with that, has started my new journey because I have discovered that, actually, I enjoyed learning all this stuff, attending these courses. And then I have discovered, actually, this could be something for me as a kind of new career path. And that was the reason that I have chosen, okay, from that moment, I would like to be a digital marketer. So therefore, I say, okay, one part, it was not so funny time, of course, because I have lost a lot of money. But on the other part, I have found my new passion.
Course, yeah. It was so it almost meant to be, right? That this first e-commerce business was meant to fail, but through that process, you found your passion. You realized that okay, actually the growth, the behind the scenes development, following the numbers, doing the digital marketing is what you were really passionate about. Christian, I want to take two steps back. All right. So you mentioned, of course, OptiMonk, what you all are up to. You mentioned the digital marketing agency you're running for about 5 years. Now you mentioned the e-commerce store that ended in bankruptcy. Take us even a little bit farther back, because a lot of times we hear from experts like yourself and we think, oh, well, they've been doing this for forever. It's easy for them to say, but I like to share journeys and especially pivots that people make from one career, an old lifestyle into a new. So tell everybody a little bit more about your background, about how you got to where you are today.
Okay. So in my case, it was actually a huge change because I had started my career in an absolutely different area of life on cruise ships. I was working on cruise ships for more than 5 years on ocean liners, and later on for more than a decade on river lines, river ships, most of the time by German companies. And I have actually made all of the positions which was possible on board of a cruise ship. So I have started as a deck steward, just carrying chairs on the decks and towels for the passengers. And later on, I was promoted and promoted and promoted. I was working at the reception. I was animator. I was host. I was working also in the excursion departments and so on. And later on in 2005, it's a long time ago, 2005, I was promoted to cruise director, which is one of the leading positions on board of a cruise ships. And then I have changed to river ships. And then I have spent there also more than 10 years. And then at the end of my career, I was already a senior cruise director. So my biggest task was to teach the new cruise directors at the company. But after 15 years, I must be very honest, I have just felt a kind of burnout. So it was not exciting for me anymore. I didn't enjoy it anymore. And I think it's very important in your life that your job, your work, where you spend actually the most of the time, usually, that you enjoy it. So I have made the decision that I definitely need a change. I definitely need to change my whole lifestyle because I have also felt that actually you can't have a normal life on board of a ship, of course. You don't have any possibility to have real friendships. And of course, you don't have a possibility to have a real family. So in that age, I made the decision, okay, it's nice. It's a very, very attractive career, actually, what I have achieved there. But I need a change in my life because I would like to change my future. I don't want to get old on board of a ship alone. So it was a big question for me. Okay, what to do as a next step? Because I must discover, I had to acknowledge it that actually, even if I had a big position, big career on board of cruise ships, but it didn't have any value on land, on shore side. So, okay, I have to learn something new that I can deliver value again to the market so I can sell myself. And then I have started working, as I remember, a kind of in a customer success team in a small company in Hungary. And it was the same time when I have started my entrepreneurship, what I have mentioned before. Okay, maybe I'm not the perfect employee, but I'm a good businessman, so I can start my own business because I know everything. I had a big career on board, so everything is possible for me with this mentality. Course, which is quite funny now, but at that time, I thought that really it's just enough to know this level, and I will be successful also in the e-commerce niche. We know already the end of the story. So actually, I have lost there almost everything with the business, with this e-commerce store, but I've got my new passion. So at that time, I had still my main job working in this customer success team. But as I have mentioned before, as a side hustle, so early in the morning and after work, late in the evening at home, I have started very intensively to learn, to deepen my knowledge regarding digital marketing. So firstly, I have started to attend all the courses which was possible that time in Hungary. Then I have discovered if I would like to achieve the next level, I have to improve my English. Because at that time, my first foreign language was German, and my English was very poor, actually. So I have to started to improve also my English in order to understand the courses and all the knowledge bases. So then I have attended an English course, and then I have started with the international courses. And what you can see behind me on the wall, which I'm very proud of, that totally I have attended and successfully made 25 different certificates and international courses in digital marketing. Most of them, for example, by digital marketing by Ryan Dice, which was that time very successful. And okay, it was the next part. Okay, now I have a lot of theoretical knowledge. Now let's get to the next step, the practical knowledge. So I need something to work, clients or agencies to work by them. So I have started to apply for jobs by digital marketing agencies. And it's also very funny to look at this, but I was refused from all of them. And every time I got, either I didn't get any answer, or I got the answer, it sounds good, but you don't have any experience yet. I mean, okay, but it's the catch of 22. How should I gather experience if I don't get the possibility to get a job as a digital marketer? So I was a little bit disappointed, but never give up. So I came on the idea, okay, if I don't get the chance to work at an agency, then I need my own clients. So I had started with cold outbound, which was that time not so common as nowadays, to be honest. And it was actually a lucky situation for me because what I have done, I have just random found companies with websites or even with e-commerce stores. I have analyzed their site or their e-commerce store, made a Loom video about it with my ideas, suggestions, tips, how to fix these failures, and I have just sent them this recorded Loom video. So to to show them my expertise, to show them my knowledge, to show them that I can deliver value, I can help you. And as I remember, I have made more than 70 from these Loom videos. And so I got my first clients with this method. So I could start as a freelancer beside my main job. And later on, I had enough clients to actually choose only my solopreneurship. And the rest is history.
So did you ever actually then land a job at an agency in this whole process?
Never. So afterwards, it was
Funny.
quite challenging for me, to be honest, to build up my own digital marketing agency without any experience. How does it work inside, actually? So it was, again, a journey for me to look after informations, to attend courses, and so on, that I could deepen my knowledge also regarding this, how to behave as a CEO, how to manage a whole digital marketing agency with all the colleagues and subcontractors and different areas and client management and so on.
It's so much. I mean, making even this pivot from working in the cruise industry, working with mostly people in person, right? Let's call it like tourism industry, to something that's completely different. Online business is such a huge pivot. And you even said that you reached this level of burnout, that you realize this isn't sustainable for your life, creating and starting a family. And that was why you had to make this pivot. Krisztian, I'm curious, do you think that in order for people to make such big pivots in their life, they have to first reach a level of rock bottom before they realize change needs to be made? Or how can we almost see it in ourselves to take action today before we reach a more drastic level that forces us into a different direction?
I think it depends on your mindset, on your mentality, because I really often hear and also see, actually, that people don't change in their life because the pain is not big enough yet. So it depends on their mentality. If they recognize it, that it's already something not all right in my life, and then they are ready to make this decision and then follow up this decision, or they wait until they get, as you have mentioned, on the rocks, or how did you say it? And then it
After
hurts.
hit rock bottom.
At the rock bottom, and then it hurts. But then it hurts really. I mean, I speak from my own experience. It's not the best way. So I definitely recommend it, that if you see already the first signs from your life, from your environment, that something is going wrong in your life, then choose it sooner to change. Then later on, it will be more hard. And I have heard, I love it, this quote. I try to translate it into English because I have heard it in Hungarian, but I really love it. The biggest hurdle for a perfect life is a nice enough life. I don't know if you can get me. Was it correct, the translation? Can you understand
Perfect.
me?
Absolutely.
It's a very
Absolutely.
big danger, I think, the comfort zone. Most of the people are living in the comfort zone and they don't even recognize it, that they are absolutely living under their potential. But it's nice enough. It's a big danger.
It's a huge danger, but it's like, almost, how do we recognize it? How do we work through it? Because exactly as you said, right? If the pain isn't great enough, then we're not going to take action. And so, sure, we can start to recognize the first steps of, okay, I'm living just in my comfort zone, right? I don't love what I'm doing, or, I only have a little bit of pain. And so I don't have the motivation that I have to change today. I don't know what we can do. I had just a quick side story. I had a first job that was in sales. And I told my employer, I was like, I'm just not that money motivated. Almost I was in my comfort zone. Let's call it that, right? I was making just enough. I'm not like driven by fancy cars or watches or whatever it might be. I'm just not that money motivated. And she told me, she's like, well, if you're not that money motivated now, it's because you don't have enough expenses. It was
Very
not a
good.
great advice. She said,
Very good.
you should go buy a more expensive car, go move into a more
Your
expensive
dreams
place.
are not
And so
big.
now you're
Your dreams are not
even
big.
almost more for her. She was saying that my monthly bills weren't big enough because once then I could almost feel this pain of I have to make this much money. It would then push me forwards to make it, which I don't think is that great of advice, right? To overextend yourself financially and then be forced to make that much money. But it's absolutely one direction you could go. But yeah, Christians, I'm just curious, right? How can we almost fast forward people to realize, even though you're comfortable today, now is the time to take action, get out of this comfort zone, because the theory of the future being so much greater is right there, but we have to take action already today.
I can tell you what was the situation in my case from my own experience. What I have discovered in that time in my life, two important things. Firstly, that my life didn't improve anything in any areas of my life, improved something. And we know exactly stagnant just doesn't exist. There is either improvement or declinement. And that was exactly the point, what I have discovered in my life, that, okay, nothing changes, but let's be honest. For example, what I have discovered on myself at that time, this discovery was really a kind of painful and a kind of shocking for me, that, for example, I stopped learning. I stopped reading books because earlier in my younger ages, I was hungry for knowledge and learning and reading, but I have just stopped it. Also, nothing changed in my financial life, as you have also mentioned as an example. I've just looked around. Okay, I had a nice car, I had a nice apartment, but no improvements. Nothing really what matters, I would say. And the second part, which is also very important, I'm sure you know also this quote, but it touched my heart very deeply when I heard it for the first time. Show me your friends, and I show you your future. I've just looked around, and I have discovered that when I take a close look at my 5 closest friends, is it actually the life what I imagine for myself for the next 5 or 10 years? Because at that time, which is actually not a big surprise, I was single. I had a nice life, but actually nothing meaningful. Same were all my friends. Just single, having some parties, but nothing special goals, not really motivations, which I would say something meaningful in their life. And it's also very dangerous because you don't recognize it because it's normal. Like the everyday conversations with them. Okay, what we gonna do for the next weekend? Oh, let's take this party. And after a while, you think it's normal. So these are the 2 points where I have discovered, okay, it's not okay for me. Christian, this is exactly not how you have imagined your life when you were a child or when you were a teenager. So if you would like to have a different future, you have to change something now in your present. And that was the main point where I have started to drastically change everything in my life. Started again reading, started again doing courses, and so on.
Beautiful, beautiful, my friend. This piece that stuck out to me the most is that you said, don't believe that stagnant, staying in the same place exists, right? There's either growth or decline. So if you believe that you're staying the same, that's decline.
It's the same for
Absolutely.
business,
And
it's the same for your private life. Whatever we look at is the same situation, I think. Because the whole world is
it
changing.
is.
Never is stagnant. It's just in your fantasy.
Well, it's all changing so fast. And so if we're not there as well, growing, moving forward, changing, we're absolutely in decline. So if you find yourself in that comfort zone, you look back at your year or 2 years and you're essentially in the same place, that should really make you feel that pain of like, let's have growth. Let's
Wasted
keep
time.
moving forward.
Wasted
Right.
time. And this is really crucial when you think about it. I mean, I have read it, I don't know by when, but I love it that uh, you can make so much money as you wish, but your time is limited. 24 hours per day. That's all. And X amount of years, who knows? But it's definitely limited. So take care. How do you spend it? Because the yesterday, you would never get it again. It's gone forever.
Absolutely. No, you'll never get that time back again. Like, it will absolutely be gone for forever. So, Christian, as you said, right? Times we need to keep moving forward. Like everything is changing around us, and so we need to be changing with it. Let's fast forward a little bit to today, to OptiMonk, because you all have developed a tool, or continue a tool that's continuing to develop, that is absolutely like skyrocketing, especially e-commerce businesses, and it's because you all are adapting new technologies and specifically AI. And so tell everybody just a little bit more, what is OptiMonk working on and how are you all continuing to move forward and avoid this idea of staying stagnant?
Yeah. So actually, I think it's a very, very exciting area. So actually, OptiMonk has started about 12 years ago. I would say just as a classic pop-up tool. But with the time, we have discovered that it's definitely not enough to stay in this overcrowded space of e-commerce. So we have developed, as you have also mentioned, always added new features, like, for example, built-in A/B testing. And nowadays, I would say that OptiMonk is a very comprehensive AI-powered CRO tool for conversion rate optimization, which makes for e-commerce stores, but also for websites, of course, but firstly for e-commerce stores, without the need of developers, just with very easy to use features to increase your average order value, to increase your conversion rates, to accelerate your sign up rates, to building list for your email or for SMS list. So a lot of features, and of course also built-in A/B testing tool in order to measure everything, as we have started our conversation, in order to make data-driven decisions. You have a very detailed data analytics dashboard in your OptiMonk account where you can follow all the KPIs, like, for example, impressions, click-through rates, and of course, assisted revenue through the campaigns, how the different A/B versions have made performance, and so on. So you can see all the important data and number which you need in order to make data-driven decisions.
So OptiMonk started as a tool that was essentially a pop-up on a website to collect people's name, email, phone numbers,
Correct.
to grow sort of your subscriber list. And now it's become such a bigger, all-encompassing tool to help you grow your businesses online, right? To increase that conversion rate optimization, or to help you improve it. And so for all these companies, right, you're helping them look at their data, you're helping them grow. And so you've seen thousands of e-commerce businesses. What separates the businesses and stores online that are growing, that are seeing forward movement versus those that aren't?
Good question, and it's not so easy to answer for that. So actually, at the moment, about 30,000 websites and e-commerce stores are already using Optimal worldwide. So we have a huge pool of data where we can learn from. And of course, we are also running a tons of A/B testing. So therefore, I would say that firstly, the most important part, which makes a difference between growing and not growing e-commerce stores, is definitely the data. As we have started our conversation, that it's very important for you as an e-commerce store owner to first of all, you know all your data, or at least the most important KPIs, And then that you start to, to test. It's a never ending story, as I had mentioned before, to make assumptions and start testing what works and what doesn't work in your industry by your visitors. And for example, to make regularly deep analysis, like qualitative and quantitative analysis, which means that quantitative analysis to make a data analysis just with the help of your Google Analytics. I mean, it's free of charge. It doesn't cost you anything. Or even if you use, for example, Shopify, there are tons of data in your admin dashboard. Just look at it. Just use it. Just know your KPIs. And sometimes it's also very worth to make a kind of qualitative analysis, which means just gather some feedback from your visitors in order to know how to improve your e-commerce store. Because as we have mentioned already, an e-commerce store is never ready. And it's also a difference, as I see, that some of the e-commerce store owners, they have just set up their e-commerce store because it's nowadays very easy with just drag and drop and with some clicks, and not even one day can you set up an e-commerce store and it's ready to use, ready to launch. And then they are just sitting around and waiting for the results, but it doesn't work anymore because the world is changing. So you have to learn always new ways, new things to improve your e-commerce store. So in order to that, start testing new ways. So like, for example, gather feedbacks from your visitors, or for example, there are tons of tools out there, even sometimes free of charge, like Hotjar, Clarity, Crazy Egg. And with the help of these tools, make some heat maps, look at some session recordings. How do your visitors behave on your site? Where do they click? How they scroll? How they use actually your interface, in order, again, to gather insights, and based on that insights, to make some changes, to make some adjustments on your product page, for example, or wherever it's necessary.
Right? Look at the data, right? Keep making adjustments, keep testing, keep moving forward. Okay. What about for people they had a passion, right? There's this painting up above me here in this video, right? Let's say I'm just a painter. I love making art. And so now I want to start selling it, right? And so I'm going to go to Shopify. I'm going to launch an e-commerce store to sell my paintings. Krisztian, I don't love data. I'm not a marketer. I'm a painter, right? And so what should I do then? And I think OptiMonk, this is maybe a perfect lead in for you actually, is using AI to analyze the data and make automated changes and suggestions for you, right? So what if I'm somebody that just loves a certain activity or developing product, but I'm not a marketer, I'm not a business guy? What should I do? Where do I start?
Okay. Regarding this, I have for you, as an artist, two bad news. Let's start with first one. Even if you are not interested in digital marketing, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to know at least the most important KPIs. You don't have to know deeply everything about digital marketing, of course, but at least the most important KPIs, because otherwise, how could you validate if the freelancer, digital marketing, or the agency who are you working with are making their job correctly or not? If you don't know the basic numbers, if you don't have the possibility to check them, to check the quality of the jobs, you are depending on them, and it's very dangerous. So at least the most important KPIs, you have to know them in order to know exactly, is this a correct freelancer? Is this the right agency for me or not? Can I believe their reports? Can I believe the results, what they show me? Or it's just a kind of show or fairy tale?
What would you say are like the not necessarily the numbers, but what is the different metrics that people should be looking at? Is it like subscriber rate of like collecting in new emails, or an opt-in rate? Is the most important KPI the being able to look and see return on ad spend? what would you say are these most important key performance indicators that people should be aware of?
Okay, very good question. Thanks. So, first of all, most important KPI by an e-commerce store is the e-commerce conversion rate. So, from 100 visitors, how many purchase is the most important KPI, because I say always, from only visitors just looking around in your e-commerce store have never earned any money in the history. So, e-commerce conversion rate. Then, which is the most important traffic channel for you, which delivers for you the biggest number of revenue? It could be PPC, it could be organic traffic, it could be email marketing, whatever. But know your traffic channel in order to know, okay, this traffic channel works for me, this traffic channel doesn't work for me. To make data-driven decisions again, in order to know which channel is worth to scale, to increase your budget for them, or which should you maybe just shut off because it doesn't work for you. Okay, secondly, third, what you have also mentioned, if you are, for example, running PPC campaigns, whether it be Meta ads or Google ads, know your ROAS, return on ad spend, which means if I spend $1 for this campaign, for these ads, how much revenue will be generated from this one? It should be at least 5 times ROAS. For us, for example, earlier as a digital marketing agency owner, our goal was 10 times, at least 10 times ROAS, which is, I think, a really good goal. From $1, we make 10, which is quite good. It's again, because if you don't know it, how could you know if it's worth to spend more money on that or not? But it also actually the same for email marketing. I mean, okay, there you don't have to spend for ads, but there you have also some costs like the email marketing softwares, the colleagues who are doing the newsletters or just making all the technical setups in the software. There you have also some costs. So you have to know exactly how much revenue will be generated exactly from email marketing. I mean, okay, you could even have 10,000 subscribers, but if the open rate or the click-through rate is very low, for example, because of the pure quality of the newsletters, and then you have just a few visitors from your newsletter and they have never purchased anything in your e-commerce store, even if you have 10,000 subscribers, actually it doesn't have any value for you, measurable value. This is very important.
I think those are great, nice and simple, three different ones, right? What is the actual conversion rate of your store, right? Per 100 visitors, how many people are actually converting, turning into customers that are purchasing? Number two, being able to understand which traffic channels are successful, are
Yeah.
bringing you one, the most traffic, and then the most traffic that actually converts into purchasers, into customers. And then finally, return on ad spend, right? And
Or
there's
just
metric you
return on
just said,
investment, ROI. We can use it as well.
ROI,
If you
or your
don't
return
run
on
it.
investment. Yep.
Yeah.
For whatever traffic channel that might be, right? If it's email marketing, how much are you paying somebody to write those emails? What does the software cost? All of those costs together. And then directly how much actually revenue income is coming in from that channel. So understanding those three, now you're able to actually challenge your marketing team to make sure that they are profitable, right? That there is growth. Or else you're going to end of day, like you said, most stores don't ever make money at all.
And maybe 2 additional KPIs, which I would also to mention. Average order value, of course, how much they usually spend in your e-commerce store, also very important KPI, and customer acquisition cost. How much it costs you actually to get not a visitor. Once again, a click, a visitor, just looking around in your store doesn't make too much sense, to be honest, doesn't make too much value. If they purchase, it's the most important level. So, how much does it cost for you to acquire a customer? Customer acquisition cost. These 2 KPIs, I think, are also important. And actually, The other bad news regarding this, just absolutely, I would say, different from the area of digital marketing, that if you are not able as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as an e-commerce owner, whatever, to establish a good, actually not, good is not enough, an excellent product market fit, we can make the best digital marketing strategy of the world. We can make for you as a background the best campaigns. It just won't work. Never, never in the life. If your prices are too high, if the competition is too high, if you don't know exactly who is your ICP, your ideal customer profile, because you say that, oh, actually, I can sell to anybody. If you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. We know it exactly. So if these requirements doesn't work, actually, it's not depending on the freelancer. It's not depending on the agency. You can choose anybody, even the most professionals, the best experts of the world. It still won't work, especially nowadays. Because I mean, nowadays, with the help of AI agents, it takes about 2 minutes. Just look around the market and find the right product for you if you are looking for something. So it doesn't make any sense more.
Yeah, let's everybody please make sure to realize that, right? If your product market fit isn't there, right? If you are trying to sell a product that the market doesn't want, or you're charging significantly way too much for for what it is, right? You valued it way higher than the market actually is, then none of these metrics are
And
really going to
actually,
matter.
I have a funny story, which is actually based on a true story, which happened to me maybe 1 month ago. It's not a long time ago. And especially regarding paintings. You have mentioned this topic.
Okay.
So I had an online consultation with an e-commerce store owner who sold paintings. And before the consultation, of course, I always prepare for the consultation. So I have checked the store, and which was a little bit confusing for me, that everywhere on the product pages was written hand painted paintings. But for me, it was a little bit suspicious, a kind of AI generated. But I wasn't sure, but it was a little bit suspicious. Okay, can happen. Of course, I'm not the best AI expert of the world. I'm not the best painting expert of the world. It can happen. So there was the consultation. We were talking about different questions and topics. And I asked directly the gentleman, so actually, could you please just clarify? Because you write there they are all hand painted paintings. That's the reason for the high prices. But for me, it looks like AI generated. And he said literally to me, yes, they are actually AI generated, but we thought it sounds better if we write it, they are hand painted. So at that moment, it was a red flag, of course, for me, because I knew this moment we wouldn't work together, never in the life. Firstly, from ethical reasons, of course, because let's be honest, it's cheating, just lying to the visitors. And on the other part, it's very interesting because they have showed me their data and the numbers. And, it's very interesting that people and life actually proved exactly what I have said before. Because the reason that why they were applying for me for an online consultation, that they had very big issues, challenges regarding the digital marketing strategy. They have run PPC campaigns, Google Ads, Meta Ads. The click-through rate was genius. So the ads were absolutely okay. They had a tons of visitors. But on the site, the conversion rates was almost zero, nothing. Why? Because people are not stupid. They came to the site, to the store, thousands of them, and I assume they had the same feeling like me. I mean, sorry, for an AI made painting, which is not hand painted, why should I pay 400 or 500 bucks or something like this was the price? I can just print it out on the corner in the store for $50 or not even for 50. People are not stupid. And of course, it didn't work. That's exactly what I have explained before. if the product market fit is not all right, you can make the best campaigns, the best digital marketing strategy of the world. In the real life, it won't work. And exactly this happened to them as well. Proof.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's absolute proof. I mean, lots of different problems in that story, starting with ethics.
I was
Like,
shocked.
be-
Can you imagine, Wayne, when I heard it? Yes, yes, actually, that's true, but we thought it looks better.
oh, we just
Okay.
thought it sounded good. Yeah, well, there you go. You're destined to fail. Krisztian, we have to slowly start to wrap up here, but I'm curious, right? With AI being such a big thing, right? Of course, you all are using artificial intelligence to automatically update e-commerce stores, make changes based on data. Where do you think AI is going? How do you think it's going to change how digital marketing looks over the next 5 years?
I think that AI makes all the workflows, all the testings, and of course, draw conclusions from a huge amount of data much faster than it was possible ever before. So actually, I see it already. It's happening right now. That for the tasks where we needed 2 or 3 colleagues 5 or 6 years ago, now we need just one colleague with the help of different AI tools. But on the other part, I see definitely also the positive, the advantages, the positive sides of that, because exactly from this reason, with the help of AI, now it's also possible, which we were talking about for a couple of years, but it was just not possible to implement it. Just one example, hyper-personalization. We know exactly the future of e-commerce is segmentation and personalization. Nobody wants to see general messages anymore. I have seen last time a case study. Nowadays, 68% of the visitors, of the customers, expect personalized experience during browsing on a website or an e-commerce store. And let's be honest, with the normal tools, it's not so easy. It's quite challenging. I know it because we had also tons of challenging with that. But nowadays, with the help of AI, just for example, in our example, with the OptiMonk AI, it's now also possible to make hyper-personalized on-site messages, pop-ups, which means that it's now possible to show every visitor a different pop-up with a different picture, with a different headline, with a different message, for example, based on their search intent. And this is, I think, very nice because it's definitely increasing the customer experience. Wow, they know me. They know what are my preferences, what I'm looking for. And of course, it's also good from business part because we know exactly higher relevance equals higher conversion rates. So I think that with the help of AI, every area of digital marketing will be much faster, will be even much easier. Like, for example, also regarding conversion rate optimization. Nowadays, to run tests and draw conclusions from the data with the help of AI, it's much easier, much quicker than ever before. So I think that definitely in this direction will evolve a lot of parts of digital marketing. On the other part, as I have mentioned before, okay, there will be needed less human efforts, but on the other part, I think it will have also a lot of advantages in the online era.
Huge advantages. I mean, this idea of hyper personalization, right? Changing the titles, the headlines, the descriptions, the images based on every individual person that lands on a website is it's pretty mind blowing that it can be done, and it seems so complicated. But tools like OptiMonk can for you so quickly, so efficiently. I know we talked about it before the show. For anybody out there that wants to come and try OptiMonk, I think especially this piece of how AI is helping with hyper personalization for their online stores. Like, where do you suggest they go? How can they actually start off and try it for themselves?
It's actually very easy and simple. Just go to optimonk.com. You can just look around. You can just gather more informations about our tool. But I think the most easiest way is not just to read about it, but also to test it. So just register for a free OptiMonk account. It's actually there is existing a forever free account as well that you can test it. You can just look around it. You can just implement it on your own website, on your own e-commerce store, and see with your own eyes the first results, which can deliver to you. And if you choose later on also to upgrade for a paid plan, we have a special offer for your listeners. Actually, Wayne, we have a special coupon code JTL50. We can also put it beneath the video or whatever you can find it. And if you use this coupon code by the registration, you get 50% discount for the first 3 months. That it's even more easier, more quicker, and more smoother for you, the whole onboarding system, and start using your own AI-powered CRO tool.
Krisztian, appreciate it. I already told you ahead of time, so I'll be signing up as well. And definitely thanks for the coupon code, right, for JTL50. It's great. Krisztian, as we start to wrap up, just like with the theme of the show being a journey to legacy, I really like to ask all of my guests about the topic. And so when you hear legacy, right, what does that even mean to you? And like, what's the legacy that you're looking to leave on this world?
I'd say it's a kind of journey for every human being, because also from my experience at the beginning of my journey, of my life, I must admit I didn't take care so much about legacy. For me, it was the most important to achieve my own goals, to secure my financial life, and establish everything which I need in my life. But with the time, I think you discover that that is definitely more. Not just this one, what you can achieve now in your own life, but it's a very big feeling, a very compelling feeling, if you feel that you have also impact on others' life. And that's exactly, for example, what I feel when I can make a speech, because I'm a passionate educator. I have my own YouTube channel. I'm also a keynote speaker by different events. And for me, for example, the reason for that is that I can educate business owners and also e-commerce store owners that they avoid the traps and the pitfalls what I have, for example, made during my life. And it makes a very, for myself, a very nice impact that I have the feeling, okay, I can help also others. And I see, and I fortunately also get some feedbacks from clients or from other people who were attending my courses or my speeches, that they really enjoyed it, and they had a takeaway. They had learned something from that. And this is for me a kind of legacy where I feel, okay, I have done not just something for me and for my close environment, but also for other people. And it's a very cool feeling. I love it and I enjoy it.
It's the best. Krisztian, I love when I get to hear from, experts, successful entrepreneurs like yourself, that legacy isn't this piece around making billions of dollars and, just leaving that to your family. It is the impact that you get to make on others. And for you specifically, you're talking about education, teaching, that the greatest value is actually sharing and showing others how they too can walk a similar path to yours, right? Giving that education, letting them have these takeaways, and knowing that you're helping them improve their lives and really to change the future is such an amazing thing. It's such a selfless thing also. I think that's a pretty great definition of legacy right there.
Thank you very much.
Krisztian, appreciate you greatly. Everybody out there that wants to learn more about you, right? Check out the links in the show notes. Go check out OptiMonk.com. Use the code JTL50. And Krisztian, I'd like to already invite you back for the future, my friend. I think there's so much more stuff we can talk about, including, you even had a reality TV show for a while. And so hopefully you probably talk about it on your YouTube channel. And so everybody go follow Krisztian there as well. Greatly, greatly appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, Wayne.
What a great conversation with Krisztian. Thank you again. My biggest takeaways from this episode were these. First, growth never happens by accident. As Krisztian said, if we're not intentionally moving forward, we're probably slipping backwards. Second, whether in business or life, we cannot afford to make decisions based only on feelings or opinions. The truth around the actions you need to take is sitting right there in the data. If this episode challenged you or gave you something to think about, share it with someone else who needs it. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week on another episode of Journey to Legacy.